Hello, hello. Welcome to the Five Talents Podcast. I'm your host, Abel Pacheco. I interview the top commercial real estate investors and industry experts so you can learn from their experiences. So if you're an investor, a high W-2 earner, or real estate or tech sales professional that wants to invest in real estate without having to manage properties or leave your day job, then this podcast is for you. Or if you're already investing in real estate, but you're doing it part-time and you want to become a full-time multifamily or full-time commercial real estate investor, this podcast is for you too. You're going to learn a ton. You will learn from real-life multifamily investors and other professionals in the industry. They're going to share their blueprints for success, and I'm super excited that you're here. So I hope you enjoy the show. So my name is Abel Pacheco. I'm your host for the Five Talents Podcast. We are super excited today because we have another amazing guest and really also our first volunteer to help me go live on Facebook. So we're recording today. For the most part, we usually we'll have the video, we'll take the audio, we send it back to editing, all that good stuff. And I'm sure my amazing team is still going to edit this part out. So for anybody on the podcast that's listening, just kind of heads up. But thank you very much for dealing, with a little bit live today and a show later. So Chad, you have an amazing guest. You're it, man. Chad Wittfeldt. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining. First of all,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an amazing conversation. Our guests are really going to get some good value, I believe, from our show, because I've heard you talk a number of times, which every single time, I got value from it. And it was, just amazing. It was not just commercial real estate, although I did apply it to my commercial real estate business. So anybody that's in branding, marketing, funnels, like you guys are going to have a good, take a lot of notes. This one will be a great show. So Chad, let me give at least our audience just a couple of things, right? So they know who they're listening to. So you're a 27-year-old entrepreneur. You started real estate investing just, a few years ago, like 4 years ago, and you already have 350 units. So one of my friends goes, "What's a unit? What are you always talking about?" I go, like doors, like 350 unit apartment complex. And they're like, "Oh." So I know that you started a marketing consultant company, but you're also helping other real estate investors build their systems and a really good brand so that they can, achieve their financial freedom if that's where they want to get to, right? So let me turn it over to you. I'd love, just an introduction. Tell us more about yourself, what you do, how you help others, and it'll be a great place to start a conversation.
For sure. Yeah. So I got started, I had been in like the investing space since I can remember. Like at 15, I had my old man set up my first equities account to start getting into stocks. And did that for a little while, got into cryptocurrency and Forex and all this stuff. And I had moved to Colorado and I met this guy riding mountain bikes. And I just wanted to meet a new friend. So I said, "Hey man, what do you do? Well, let's ride bikes together, right?" And he's like, I just started with this group of guys. We're buying apartment buildings. And I said, "No way, man. Like I've been wanting to get into real estate for a while. And I just never knew like how to get started. Like to me at the time, real estate was like this beast of an asset class, right? I had no idea really how to get started." And he said, "Well, come meet these guys and see if it's a good fit." So I ended up meeting them, and those are whom I partnered on these deals with, right? And I'll never forget like that really pivotal moment where it all started. Like my first kind of introduction to it all was like finding deals and like reaching out to brokers, cold calling brokers. "Hey, I'm Chad with Blue Spruce Holdings. Like I'm looking for deals," right? And really when it comes to syndicating apartments, there's two like main components: is finding good deals and finding good OPM, other people's money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, like I had brokers that would be like, "Appreciate you calling, but I want you to know, like I get 10 of these calls a day." I was like, "Oh, well, that sucks," right? And
yeah.
you know,
Number one, number one for you getting after it. It's hard. Anytime I've been in sales for a number of years prior to real estate, and it's just grinding you down every time you hear something like that. And then on the flip side, they're like, yeah, here's number 10. It's never a fun conversation.
Exactly, man. And you know, it's funny, like I went into that, I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna find, like, I'm good on the phones. Like I'm gonna find so many deals, man. I'm gonna have 1,000 units in my first year. I'm like, this is gonna be easy, right? And then, you know, like people start sending me like single family homes, empty pieces of lot, you know, land. And I was, you know, very specific. And I realized like I was a chaser. All I was doing was trying to chase deals, trying to chase money. And we weren't doing what we needed to be doing to start attracting those elements into our business model. And that's really like the very pivotal moment that I started to realize, like, there is a better way about it. Instead of chasing money or chasing deals or whatever elements, those key elements into your business are, you need to be positioning yourself to attract them and make sure you have the right things in place to convert those things, right? And that's really what spawned everything I do today. So
Yeah, I love it. So I, like I said, sales for years, 20 plus years. And the first, 6 to 7 of those years was chasing. I got lucky and I ended up working with an IT hosting company, a technical company called Rackspace. And they had this, one of the VPs of sales, they called him the scientist of sales, right? But back then, there wasn't really an inbound lead funnel. And this is, I don't know, pre 2006, right? So I started there, and what they did was they spent so much money on marketing, and they had an inbound model. And when I arrived there, I go, you guys don't make outbound calls? And they go, no. Leads are coming to us, and people are chatting and sending or qualifying leads. They're called lead generators, and they would pass them to the closer. And I go, I stayed there for 10 years because there was no chasing, and very few companies or people that I dealt with, like nobody sees that often. And so you figured out a way not to chase.
Yeah. And to further your point too, like when you are in that environment and pivoting from chasing to attracting, now you are entering a conversation that's permission-based selling. They want you, they gave you they opted in somewhere, they came into your world somewhere, you attracted them somehow. It's a very different conversation. Very different conversation. And the results show, right? Like your conversions will just be exponentially better when you're attracting the people into your business that move it versus chasing them down. So
100%. And so you launched, well, I guess, how did you learn it first? Where did you first do it? And then how did it get it, transition to real estate?
Yeah. So I honestly, like, I don't remember the exact quote, but it's something along the line of, if you want to be great, follow those who are great. Right.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I just started to like follow and look at other successful business models in different industries, and studied and analyzed and reverse engineered everything that they were doing right, and then applied it to our commercial syndication real estate business. And that's like really where it started to click. So, for me, it wasn't necessarily about like reinventing the wheel, and it now that I have my marketing consulting company, it's like, it's almost a little crazy to see that it's still like a lot of the things that I do inside the real estate space with marketing and branding and systems, it's still like pretty new to some in the industry, but to others, like to other industries, like this is like kind of age old stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And we revamp and re-optimize and make things, better and amazing every single time. But a lot of this stuff's been around. Right.
Yeah. We leveraged it, like, before I started there, the company I was working for was already doing it. But in 2006, when I got there, that was like, oh, the revolutionary. And now you hear the word funnel, click funnel system, and automation. You're like, oh, okay. It's gotten better and it's more refined. But for those that don't know, or just, have never done it before, it's, you're setting up a system, a funnel that allows people to like you said, attract others. And so you used it for real estate, and 350 units, man. That's a lot of portfolio for a young 27-year-old. I bought my first deal when I was 26. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. It was 116 grand. And anyways, that was my first deal when I was 26, and yours is a little different. How many deals are you in, and how many millions of dollars is this?
That's only 3 deals. It's
Okay.
only 3 deals. Um, I don't know the exact valuation. Last time I looked, it was around 7.5. But
Hmm.
the truth is, like, full disclosure, full honesty, like, I'm a small part of a big deal, right? Like, there's a
Yep.
lot of other people in the deal. And it's just something that I personally, in my heart of hearts, I like to be very upfront and let people know, the truth behind that. I mean, in the syndication space, it's almost become like a cliche. Oh, I have X amount of units. Well, you have those amount of units with a lot of other people. And so
Hmm.
I'm just a man of full disclosure. So
That's
not to say I'm not proud of it, right? Like, it did a
yeah.
lot of hard work to get involved, and I'm glad I did. And my goal for 2021 is to do another 300, right?
Yeah, that's
So
awesome. Real quick before we keep going. So this is it's not don't worry about being transparent on our show, because this is what we actually talk about, right? Is the percentage of ownership, or a piece of the deal. When I bought my first house in 26, or when I was 26, I didn't have $116,000 to buy that house. I had 3 grand down. I put 3K on an FHA loan, and I owned a piece of it. But I
yep.
owned this $160,000 house. I really owned $113,000 mortgage note, right? But and on the flip side of it, you have a small percentage ownership of these big, massive deals. So whatever that percentage is, it earns and it
Mhm.
grows and it multiplies like an institutional grade investment, many multiple millions of dollars. And that's where you want your money in. So that's kudos to you, man. And at 27 years of age, you'll keep grinding it, dude. So congrats.
Appreciate
So
that.
yeah, absolutely. So tell us about, how you got started from these systems. You kind of, understood where to go, and, what did you do next? Like, how did you actually get into all these deals, and who'd you partner with, and et cetera, et cetera. Just,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so when I first got started, like, I think everyone in the OPM world is kind of being taught like the same thing, in the sense of, like, go to meetup groups and meet people, and go to real estate conferences and meet people, and ask your family, and try and raise capital from the people around you. Well, that's great and all, but it really only goes so far, right? That's a very limited, it can be a very limited pool. It can be time consuming to try and put yourself in a room with 30 people over and over and over again. And so when I started to realize that, calling brokers all the time, and trying to chase deals and all the things, I realized, like, there's a better way to do this. And so at that time, like, I hadn't really became a partner yet. Like, I was just kind of trying to earn my keep, and, like, show these guys, like, I actually know a thing or two, right? And I just I had a conversation. I asked for a meeting, and I was like, what if I can help you and this company position you and ourselves to start attracting money and attracting deals, right? Is it what would that look like? And from there, it's really been quite the journey. Adam had launched his podcast at the time, and we took that to an awesome new place. Started hosting live events, being public, creating a thought leadership platform of multiple sorts, to the point where you grow your authority based on how large your platform can get, right? And so people start taking you a lot more serious when they see you have a thought leadership platform. And there's all kinds of things that go inside that, and bring it to full circle and conversions. But for anyone listening, like, the most important thing with my model, and what I like to do in my expertise, is understanding the person that you want to attract, right? If you're trying to speak to everybody, you're going to end up speaking to nobody, right? And so that's what I call my ideal client avatar, right? And so you break down to a very fundamental level who that person is, what they care about, where they're hanging out, what they do for work, how much money they have, what their family's like, all those things. And you get to a very granular level, and start to to really engineer the process of what it looks like to go out and attract that person into your business.
Yeah, that's awesome. I 100% agree. I think I heard something you said at a conference, and actually we should probably unpack this a little bit. So you mentioned a partner, Adam,
Yep.
Adam Adams, Blue Spruce Holdings. They do a summit, and it's a raising money summit. And I've been to one event, and the prior, I heard it was amazing, and I'm excited about your next one. And really, that event that you guys host has, hundreds, if not thousands, or some odd people, a lot of real estate investors that are all trying to raise private capital. And when I say private capital, it's definitely not like $100,000 to go buy a house. We're trying to raise millions and millions of dollars, literally multi-millions to buy even just one deal. And I want to buy 2 or 3 or 4 of these deals. So the thought process is, you're at the summit, you're showing people, others, like, people like me, like how to do that. And if I put this message out to anyone and everybody, then my message is going to fall on deaf ears, right? And so if you're on this podcast, you may have heard this a few times. Like, I'm a tech sales professional, and I did this for like 13 years. I worked at Rackspace and sold AWS cloud and virtualization and Amazon. I kind of know all this world, right? And I real estate invested like the whole way through. That's kind of where my avatar is, because it's like me. So
Yeah.
that individual, it's easy to talk to, because I like, yeah, I know who you are, and you've been grinding commission sales forever, and yeah, you're in this world, and like, man, come with me, I'm gonna show you a different way. So you helped me kind of almost define that a little bit more. And there's other areas, but yeah, that's pretty cool in that avatar. So before we move on, what was yours? What was your avatar?
Yeah. So my avatar, his name's Blake. He's in his mid-20s, just like me. He's either in high ticket commission sales or has a successful business. He loves riding motorcycles, dirt bikes, snowmobiles, whatever, same thing that I like, right? Because just like you said, I connect with those people outside of business so easily. So having those kind of conversations are really, really easy. He's either in one of 2 places with his goals. He has a family and he wants to buy back his time freedom, or he's like me and he wants to have more time freedom to go ride more snowmobiles, more dirt bikes, more motor. There's 2 places, right?
Yeah.
And I typically meet Blake through our hobbies, through our mutual interests, typically. So
you are, I think your avatar description, that's why you're teaching the class, my friend. I need to get even more into it, because I forgot about, even saying, oh, my family, man, I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I'm trying to work with other individuals that want to spend time with their family and give away their W-2 job, or at least set themselves up for the right timing so that they can have some passive income stream and kind of do that. That's awesome. Well, thank you very much, Chad.
It's breaking it down to what they care about, how you're going to connect with them. And so my partner, Adam Adams, like, as you know, the guy is an absolute genius. And he coined the KLTI blueprint. So before somebody decides to come into your business, let's use, apartment syndications as the example. Before they can even think about investing with you, they got to know you, right? Mm-hmm. They're not going to come across you for the very first time and say, hey, here's $500,000. They got to know you, right? Typically the easiest place to get known is by creating a thought leadership platform, whether that be a podcast, YouTube channel, an event, a meetup group, etc. Creating a platform that you're the face of, that you're the host of. It's the quickest, easiest, best way to get known. Number 2, they have to like you, right? They have to like you. Are you going to invest $100,000+ with a guy you don't even want to go out to dinner with? No way. No way. So they got to like you, right? And so going back to my avatar, Blake, like, if we're connecting through common interests, goals, hobbies, etc., we're probably going to like each other, right?
Yeah.
So that's the K and the L. Now the T is the trust, right? Do they trust you? Are you a trustworthy person? And then obviously flowing them into investing with you. And I bring that up specifically because when I see and we coach people and help people do this all the time, but when I see people first trying to get started, building their brand online, putting out content, putting out things of their life, etc., oftentimes they all fall into the similar trap. Real estate, real estate, real estate. Look at this deal. Look at these financing, real estate, real estate. Like if you're not sharing anything about your life, your passions, your hobbies, your goals outside of real estate, you're missing a huge audience that you otherwise would connect with. So when you are start going out to build your brand, build content, and put yourself out into the world, understand that the know and the like and the trust comes well before the invest. So
yeah, I love it. That's the KLTI kind of breakdown on it. I love it.
That's Adam's acronym right there. And I was like, man, that is genius, dude.
Yeah. The know, like, and trust is, being in sales for forever. If you are one of my old sales guys on one of my teams, like you've heard me say this, you've said it, other people have said it to you for years, know, like, and trust.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, people buy from people they like. Right. And ultimately, I used to always pride myself on the word trust. I thought that was the most important thing. Now, it is highly important, but it was phrased to me in a question last year, and it said, hey, what's the most important? Know, like, or trust? And I said trust, right? And they go, well, I'm going to debate you here, and I think you're wrong first before I debate. I was like, what, why? I have to be a trusted source. I may not be able to control if they like me. That's their decision, but I'm going to be, trustworthy in my character integrity and also knowing the subject matter of which I'm talking about. Right. But I think those are most important. And they go, well, I hear you. I don't disagree with that. But if they don't know you, they're never going to like or trust you. And so, or invest with us for that matter. Right. Mm-hmm. So I love your thought on the thought leadership program platform. Part of the reason we're hitting the live button today. So if you're listening on the podcast, I also hit live on our Facebook feed because, I wanted to put this out there, reach more people. I think we have an amazing, product, if you want to call it a product or a lifestyle way to invest, that creates a lot of financial freedom for our investors. And that's through the vehicle of real estate, which is, ultimately what I brought Chad on, to talk about is like, how do we go do more of this? And, how did he enable it for himself? And he coaches others. Hello. You're listening to the 5 Talents Podcast. I'm your host, Abel Pacheco. If you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you're serious about achieving financial freedom. Are you ready to create your own path through multifamily investing for yourself and your family? Then I know you're going to appreciate our Investor's Guide to Multifamily Investing. It's titled Tackling Commercial Real Estate the Easy Way. We use this guide to invest ourselves in $93 million worth of real estate. So we're going to show you the basic mechanics of multifamily syndications and how to evaluate your next passive investment opportunity. So the best part, if you subscribe to our podcast now, leave us a review and a rating. I'm going to give you a free copy of our ebook. So please take a moment to do that now. Once you've done that, go to 5tcre.com/ebook, 5tcre.com/ebook. Make sure to let us know you left a review and we're going to send you a free copy. So thank you so much for subscribing to the 5 Talents Podcast. We really appreciate it. And so now you're a marketing consultant. You help other people do this as well, right?
Yeah. And only real estate. It's my focus, my core focus. But it was kind of funny. Like once a lot of people started to see a lot of the things we were doing online, Adam's really the mastermind behind the podcast and all that stuff. I mastermind the funnels, the marketing systems, the conversions, and really the process in between from attracting somebody to converting them. Right. Yeah. And, I just started having people reach out like, hey man, I saw the funnel you put together for your event. Like, how do I do that? So at first, so I've been consulting in other people's businesses for 3 years now. And at first I called it my ugly redheaded stepchild, in which I can say because I have a red beard, right? So it's not bad. But
Okay. And it was yours. It was yours. So I
yeah,
love
right. So I was like,
call it whatever
that,
you want.
yeah, it's like, at the time I was like, sure. I hadn't done it before and all that, but obviously
Yeah.
it's come a long way and refined from there. So, yeah, fun stuff, really, really fun stuff. You by building this stuff, you get to help people buy back their time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's remarkable. Like I all the time, like specifically like in the OPM world, people come to me, Chad, like I send this email out manually all the time. Right. I'm like, dang, so
Guilty as charged right here. Guilty as charged. But go
yeah.
ahead.
So
And I know it. You've taught me it, and I've been able to automate some things, but not everything. I'm taking it piece by piece by piece. But anyways, go ahead.
yeah, it's just for me, it allows people to, like I said, buy back their time. And I've just had so many people I've worked with to the point where they're like, man, you've made me love my business again.
Yeah.
And to me, that means everything. It really does. So me personally, like I've never had like a real job, right? Like fresh out of college, I started the whole entrepreneurial thing, and I really thrive on it. Like I tell my friends this all the time. Like, and by the way, I will never be the guy knocking somebody for working 9 to 5 for somebody else. I would never be that guy. But I say, like, I would be a terrible employee. I would get fired very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And so thriving on business and being an entrepreneur, when I can help somebody fall in love with their business again, get rid of all the mundane routine stuff that they don't need to be doing, and allow them to get back to a place where they're working on the business, not in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's created massive passion for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's evident, it's flowing through you in your conversation and in your seminars and conferences. And there's a lot of information, and you openly shared. And even after the event, I could see your email still coming out. Hey, did you get this? Did you implement it? No, let me share more with you.
Yeah.
It's been a month, after, and here's some really good education for you still. So that's been awesome. So who should be contacting you, and how do they do that? So let's make sure we hit this here.
Yeah, for sure. If you're in a place in your real estate business where you're ready to take it to the next level, which can mean something a little bit different for everybody, but you're not exactly sure how to get there, those are the people I help, right? If you don't know exactly what your brand should look like and how to build that brand and convert it, that's one thing I'm beyond passionate about. You can see people all the time buying, fake followers or fake likes or comments or subscribers or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Likes and comments don't get deposited into the bank account.
Yeah, they don't convert.
They don't get deposited, right? So building a brand that truly converts into a significant ROI into your business, that's my forefront. Contact me on Facebook. My email address, I'll make sure to send it, make sure you got it. You can put it in the show notes, whatever works. Yeah, I'm open to have a conversation with anybody who's feels that they're tired of sending out their onboarding emails manually.
Let's break one down. So thank you very much. You guys should absolutely reach out to Chad. He's a stud. He's an expert. He's a marketing funnel master. He really, understands the inner automations of your business. So all of these things that he's talking about, just making them automated. There's tech for a good reason. And some of that tech, you can have it do all kinds of things. So let's choose one thing and kind of dig in or drill in so that I'm going to learn something also. I'll tell you what I've automated and what I haven't. So that way, maybe we could talk about it. So I wrote our first ebook this year.
Nice.
What I've realized the first half of the year is that I had investors call me 5 to 6 times a week. And I put a Calendly link on my website and I got booked. Right. So I was like, okay, that's cool. Somebody's listening. Check. Right. And what I was doing was explaining multifamily syndication over and over and over again. And that conversation was about 45 minutes, every person. And they go, hey, I hear what you're saying. What is multifamily syndication? So I heard that enough times. I go, you know what? I'm going to start with the book. I probably should have, in hindsight, I probably should have recorded a video of at least 1 hour. That's up on my plate. But I wrote this book. It took me a few months. It took me like 5 months, and someone told me they read it in like 3 hours. And I was like, oh, what is that's 6 months of work, and you consumed it in 3 hours. But anyways, and it talks about passive investing, active investing, multifamily syndication. Well, I had people register, and then I was like, I have an assistant. My assistant was helping me email every person out this guide. I go, okay, that needs to be automated. We built a little mini funnel. I have a video recording. Thanks for downloading our ebook. I sent it to them, and they're off to the races. What I don't have is like continuous follow-up after that, right? The part that I've done nothing on, so the same people that are interested in investing, like are, people that are looking for financial freedom, they want to learn more and they want to invest. We have an invest tab on our page, but all it does is it kicks me a notification. There's a little Calendly link. They can still book time with me, but I don't have like those next steps. What would you advise me or somebody like me to kind of leverage you for, and how does it actually work? How do you make my life amazing in this area?
Yeah. So on the front end of that, before someone books a call, that's what we call the Seinfeld series, right? So it's typically 5 to 7 emails, very, very specifically written in a way so that they connect with you, so that before they even get on the phone, they already know, like, and trust you, or at least a significant portion of them do, right?
Yeah.
And so we do things like storytelling, building a story brand through these emails, creating vulnerability, creating urgency, all these buzzy marketing terms, but hey, they work. And so after somebody opts in to that lead magnet, right, that ebook,
Yeah.
now they get that subsequent follow-up, so that instead of them, being like, oh, I should do this, right, which is typically a smaller percentage, right? A lot of people will consume that ebook and be like, oh, that was good information, and then not do anything with it.
Sure.
Right. So we're putting the right pieces in place and guiding their journey with you. Right. And the main call to action off of those automated emails is to fill out the investor questionnaire form, which if you're anything like me, you don't want to spend an overly significant amount of time with people who aren't serious, right? So I personally advocate for putting a qualification step in before someone gets to my calendar, right? So they're qualified. I know that they have, some discretionary income, et cetera, et cetera. I give them the calendar and then do the call, right? Now from there, since the nature of the business is you don't have a deal 24/7, right? We don't always have a deal, right? But you want to keep them interested.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. So you want to keep them interested, right? So from there, at least having one email string in place where they're getting communicated once or twice a month at a minimum, so that they're used to seeing your name, they're still thinking of you, etc. And that's going to be typically value add based content, talking about what your team does when selecting a market, talking about what your team does when doing due diligence, et cetera, et cetera. So not only are we providing them value, educating them alongside of the business plan and the model, but we're also showing, right, illustrating, we know what we're talking about, and your money is safe with us, and you should be investing with us. So now when that investor goes on Facebook and finds somebody else who's syndicating apartments, they already they're waiting. They're not going somewhere else. You've already done that process to keep them interested, to keep them in the loop. And then from there, it's really just about having the deal and getting the money into the deal. So
Right on.
yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you very much. I don't want to take more time than you've allotted. You've already dropped an amazing amount of knowledge and education for somebody that, is listening today that, may want to step into those shoes, running their own deals, raising capital, raising the dollars, finding funding, financing, operating, managing the deals. And then I think you've also illuminated you know, some of the people listening are like, I don't want to do any of that. I just want to I just want to put my money in, go help me, you know, increase the amount. And I don't want to think about that. And those are the passive investors we're trying to reach. You've worked really hard as your W-2. You've worked really hard in your profession and have a good amount of income. You know, let's enjoy life a little bit. And those are the people that, you know, ultimately we're both trying to reach, right? So that's awesome. Well, Chad, is there anything else we didn't talk about today? We didn't highlight something you wanted to bring exposure to, something that, you know, we want to, you know, talk about?
First, just want to say thanks. Really appreciate you having me on. And really the most important thing I wanted to reiterate is don't chase, focus on attracting. Your business and your health will thank you.
Yeah. I love it. Don't chase. It'll, you know, attract.
Yep.
So that's awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for allowing me to go live today. And hopefully you'll see us live more often. And we'll let you know when the show comes out on audio, on podcast. And again, my name is Abel Pacheco. I'm your host for the 5 Talents podcast. And if you found value today in today's show, go to the 5 Talents podcast. You can find it on Apple, on Google, on Stitcher, on, you know, all the major platforms. Subscribe, rate, and leave a written review. Those things go miles. I would say if you're watching this on Facebook right now, click that little, you know, comment button, reach out to Chad, tell him, you know, the value that he provided. He'd love to hear from you as well. And we really appreciate it. So thanks a lot, Chad.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the 5 Talents podcast with your host, myself, Abel Pacheco. Each week, we're going to bring you interviews from industry experts and commercial real estate investors who followed their dreams and achieved massive success. Before you leave, let me ask you a few questions. Did you enjoy this episode? Did you learn something valuable? Was your mind stretched to what's possible and what you can achieve? Do you want other experts just like the one you heard today? If you answered yes to any or all of those questions, then please take a moment to subscribe to the 5 Talents podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and most importantly, leave us a written review. Tell us what you liked, tell us your favorite guest, give us any feedback. I'm excited to learn and improve so you can get a more valuable show. So thank you again for subscribing to the 5 Talents podcast.